Marvel fans, we need to talk. There are some new, really interesting reports coming out about Deadpool and Wolverine. And this report means the movie's gonna be really different than what we originally thought it was going to be. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still hyped up for this film, but I also feel like we gotta talk about this to kind of set expectations properly. You'll see what I mean. Let's get into it.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
I also want to mention at the top that due to the mutants coming into the MCU, we have new mutant-inspired merch over on our Teespring store right now. There's lots of cool options. You can mix and match stuff. And if you're a member on our streaming channels, you get 20% off the merch. So I think the best place to begin here is talking about those old 4chan leaks. You guys probably remember exactly what I'm talking about. There were these crazy 4chan leaks for Deadpool 3 that started to come out, and some of the scoopers were like, whoa, some of this is real, and it ended up becoming this huge thing where a lot of people thought those leaks were 100% accurate. What you might not know is the guy that made that original leak came forward and basically said he made it all up. And stuff like that usually doesn't get reported on as much, but yeah, the guy literally came out and he was like, I fucking made it up. But of course, some of it was real, but now it's left us in a weird spot where I think people are expecting a totally different movie than the one we're actually going to get. And that kind of brings me to this most recent report here from Can We Get Some Toast? Toast said here, Deadpool and Wolverine will mostly be set in the void. 70 to 75% of the movie will take place there. An older script had the movie taking place during the original X-Men trilogy. And for clarification, this is the void that is seen in season 1 and season 2 of Loki, and it is Alioth that is in the trailer. So the movie's 70 to 75% on the void. That's kind of interesting. And also there was an older version of the script that had the movie taking place in the old Fox X-Men films. And that right there, like, that's the part that was in the 4chan leaks. And that's why I think people are going to be really confused, because again, like, a lot of people just thought that's what's going to be in the movie. Like, the movie's going to be jumping around. We're going to be going to the old Fox X-Men movies, like the Golden Bridge fight at X-Men, The Last Stand, even parts of X2, right? But instead, it kind of seems like what they're saying is, no, it's mostly on the void. So the people you'll see, like the cameos that will be in this movie, are mostly going to be on the void. It's going to be like them just traversing the void and running into different variants, right? So imagine like the parts of Loki season 1 with all the different Loki variants, but apparently now the multiverse is being destroyed so much that there's just so many people going to the void, right? That's why you're going to get all of these different X-Men cameos, all of these different cameos from the Fox movies, but you are not going to be going into those other timelines and films. And that's interesting. And I'll stop for a second here and just ask you guys, like, how do you feel about this? Please let me know in the comment section, because this is a little bit like the Multiverse of Madness thing, right? There were scenes that were leaked out there, all these cameos, and a lot of people talking about this version of the Illuminati for Multiverse of Madness. And to be honest, Marvel themselves even kind of hyped it up, right? Some of the trailers leading into Multiverse of Madness showed you the shield that we knew would belong to Peggy Carter. It showed you the literal Professor Xavier's chair, right? So Marvel's kind of playing it up a bit too. But one of the things that happened with Multiverse of Madness was like a bunch of fans were like, that's it? That's your multiverse scene with all these cameos? I thought it would be way cooler than that, because it kind of amounts to a scene in a warehouse and some flashback stuff, right? Could have been better. And I actually think it's kind of like the weakest part of the movie. Even though I love the ideas and some of the story things that are established there, it's still just not, I think, what many people wanted it to be. But just like with Multiverse of Madness, it appears that this Deadpool and Wolverine movie is going through different versions. Like, they're changing stuff up with the script. So yeah, let me know what you think about just the basic change, right? The fact that it's mostly going to be on the void. Let me know about that in the comment section below. Now, I want to move on to more leaks and rumors about the movie and about like the actual version of the movie, or at least we think. This one gets a little bit weird because it's actually a newer scooper on the scene, but a lot of the moderating team over on the Marvel Studios Spoilers subreddit seems to have vetted this person. They're sharing a lot of this information, so I will now share some of what they are saying about Deadpool and Wolverine on the Void. And the account here is Cryptic Guy 1324, and apparently they have an incredible track record over on Reddit. Kind of wild. But the account says here, one of the things mentioned to help fight against Cassandra's telepathy is Magneto Magneto's helmet. Unfortunately, she's already got it. And I want to stop for a second there because number one, that's freaking cool, right? The idea of getting Magneto's helmet. Unfortunately, I've also heard this linked to the possibility that Magneto's cameo was cut from the film. Like, it's possible it's just Magneto's helmet now, and there's even a possibility that some of the scoopers that were reporting that Magneto was in the movie, that was based off of maybe old scripts and also maybe seeing Magneto's helmet as a prop, right? So wires could have got crossed, and I don't know, maybe Magneto is still in the movie, but it seems like his helmet is not with him. Cassandra Nova is going to have the helmet. And on that note, it does appear that Cassandra Nova is the sort of big bad on the Void, right? And so TLDR on that character, she's like the evil twin sister of Charles Xavier, and she's probably going to be way different than she was in the comics anyways, but that's who she was in the comics. Like, she's this... It's fucking way too weird and complicated, but basically she makes herself a body. She's like this consciousness that was once with Charles in the womb, and then Charles kills her in the womb, but her consciousness still survives because she's like that bitch, and then she's like powerful and she's trying to take revenge on the X-Men and shit. You know, it's crazy. Yeah, it's like, it's too much, but they're gonna, again, probably change her for the Deadpool 3 movie. But the point is, it seems like Cassandra Nova is just going to be like the big bad of the Void. Because another thing that is reported by this account is that you apparently either work for Cassandra Nova or you get fed to Alioth. Like, apparently that's the rules of the Void. Again, establishing that Cassandra Nova is kind of in charge. So overall, like, what do I think's going on with Deadpool 3? I think it's more or less going to be the story that was teased in the teaser trailer. Like, the TVA is going to come recruit Deadpool, bring him to the TVA. I wonder if he's at first just working with the TVA, and that's when we see him go in to some of the timelines of like the old Avengers movies and like Thor Ragnarok, because it's weird. He does appear to be in other universes and doing something, but maybe at some point he just turns on the TVA, fights them as much as he possibly can, but ultimately gets pruned, arriving then on Battleworld or the Void, and then we just kind of see him and Wolverine on the Void. And I also think that at the heart of the movie, it's just going to be something like a bromance movie, a buddy cop movie with Deadpool and Wolverine. And just like from the start of the Deadpool franchise, Deadpool wants to be friends with Hugh Jackman, Wolverine. That's what it's about. So that's literally what the movie's going to be about. But then you're also going to get this epic setup for what I think Battleworld is really going to be. I think the overall story here is that the multiverse is being destroyed and it's accelerating. So there's just way more universes being destroyed with way more people then arriving on Battleworld. And I think you're going to start to see a very interesting thing start to be built on Battleworld. Maybe the reason that it's a lot of X-Men and Fox characters is because that's all ending before the 616 stuff, right? Like, that could be what's happening. And so you're just getting a lot more of the Fox stuff there on Battleworld, and there's a pecking order, there's a hierarchy, and you have a character like Cassandra Nova that consolidates power there and is trying to either, you know, force everybody to work for her or feed them to Elias. It's kind of interesting. I also think it's kind of cool that you'll see all the cameos, or at least a lot of the cameos, on Battleworld. Like, it's all going to be kind of Mad Max style, which is interesting. And I think hopefully they do something interesting with the design for some of those characters, especially if it's the X-Men. Like, the idea of seeing a post-apocalyptic actual X-Men team, like if you see Cyclops and he kind of almost looks like something out of Mad Max, or he looks like the nightmare sequence from Zack Snyder's, you know, Batman stuff, like, oh man, like that seems kind of dope. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that seems pretty fire. So I'm hoping we get some cool designs of different X-Men characters with the cameos on the Void, on Battleworld. So I'm still really excited. I can't wait for Deadpool and Wolverine, and I think I have a better idea of what the movie's actually going to be like now. By the way, I have a big video coming out that's going to break down every report you've ever heard about every cameo that's supposed to be in Deadpool 3, so look out for that video really soon. And again, there's a link to our new mutant-inspired Nerd Vengers or Den of Nerds merch. Check it out. Link in the description. That stuff's awesome, man. I can't wait till mine shows up. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.